Hello, I'm Jennifer Schomburg-Kanke, and welcome to one of my videos of me reading some of my already published work. The piece that I'm going to be reading today is fiction, is actually a chapter from a novel or novella, depending on how you want to play your definitions. It technically comes in just under a novel, but there are some places that still also would classify it as a novella. So whatever, it's what I wrote, and it's, put it wherever you want to put it. But so it is from the novel is called A Pleasant Loitering Journey. It has yet to find a publisher, yet to find a home, but a chapter of it did find a home in the literary journal Shenandoah, which publishes novel excerpts. And so it came out this past fall. And I would like to read that excerpt from you. You can also go and it is available online, so you can see the text of it all on the Shenandoah website, which I will put down in the description below for you. So the cool thing about this novel, if I do say so myself, the way that I wrote it, I started writing it in earnest when I was taking my first class in metrical poetry with Annie Finch, and she talked a lot about enrhythming, this idea of either dancing or singing, drumming, or reading something in the meter that you want to read before you set to write, so that it gets you going, right? Gets your brain in gear, gets that meter really good and sturdy in your soul before you head off to come up with your own wondrous words. And so what I did, I was like, oh, that's the coolest idea. It was something that I had been doing in some form with my writing. And then I was like, this is a thing. Right, this is exciting. And so I thought, what would happen if no plan, right? Like no outline, no real idea ahead of time, to first in rhythm with 100 lines of William Wordsworth's long poem, The Prelude, and then just write and see what happens. And I did that every night until I was done reading The Prelude. And then I went back and said, okay, what have I got? And it's actually pretty exciting because it ended up being what I like to call a fictional memoir. The tone is very memoiristic, but it is a novel. So yeah, so that's kind of cool. And I think it does show in the writing that enrhythming happened each time. So let me know in the comments below if you feel like you can notice the iambic vibe coming through from the prelude. I like to say that the novel ended up being if William Wordsworth had written Fried Green Tomatoes after reading Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow. It has slightly less urine than Gravity's Rainbow, like slightly less urine and poop. Not much less though. So, and yeah. So here we go. Now shut up and read this excerpt. It's chapter 14, so it's fairly advanced in the novel. And at this point, our main character, who is a woman, she's an HR director. She's a director of HR at a bank. And after she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and went through chemotherapy, wonder where I got that idea from, out of the blue, it's crazy. She becomes a literal goddess. And then she goes on a revenge spree. And in the course of talking about her revenge spree, she also starts giving everybody tips for how they too can be a goddess. So it turns into almost like a self-help book. I really like this novel. Is it wrong to like your own thing and be like, oh, it's so good, why is no one publishing this yet? It's so fun. there are many reasons no one's published it yet. I still love it though, and maybe the right place will come along. So here we go. Chapter 14, Put Down the Knife. Goddesses do not take a knife to their days. They neither dissect nor disembowel the memories behind them and the prophecies or plans in front. There are a million daily decisions that, in their addition, will add up to the you-ness of you. Taking a knife to each day, looking cause and effect in the eye, searching for what you could have done better. You are not dead yet. There is no need for a post-mortem. Plans and memories may spring forth. Let them do so in their resplendent joy of action and thought, but stop smearing them in the blood of your days. Your bullshit journals and to-do lists, your 5-year plans and annual lists of growth areas. A goddess lives her days. She does not organize them. She does not categorize them. She does not agonize over them. And it is in this 4th tip I fear you will see me as a hypocrite. Take none of my other words for truth. Put this tome down, a shame, for you have come so far already. Like the other tips, I will tell you how I learned it, and in telling must share how and when I was less than the goddess I am now. But unlike the others, this time feels more recent and stares back at me from the mirror in the night. I was still taking a knife to my days not long after the doctors took a knife to me. There is an odd trick the doctors play on all those they've had need to slash, to burn, to poison in the name of health and healing. We are given pamphlets, booklets, photocopied leaflets, telling us this was not our fault. That anyone might find themselves in a reclining beige pleather chair with alternating solutions of salt and poison administered by women in protective smocks and gloves. This is not, therefore, but for the grace of God go I, but a situation of no grace. Only random pickings, our souls like balls in a lotto hopper, some of our numbers called and others left to rattle in the cage a little longer. We are told it could be anyone watching their hair fall out in clumps on the floor of the shower, feeling the sensation of the strands coming loose on their hands, feeling the pain of the follicles in their Taxol-induced freakout. Oh, little goddesses to be, let me tell you about the pain, because others will not. It takes a goddess to speak of the pain of hair loss. Fuck the wigs and wraps. Fuck the pretty little hats. They will try to convince you that alopecia is an issue of vanity, placate you with, it'll grow back, and you're beautiful as you are. Your head has a lovely shape. May their distracting mouths be sewn shut should they gaslight. No, that's not quite the right word. Dismiss. The word is dismiss another woman's fear and pain. Because when it starts to fall out between days 9 and 14 of the first round of Taxol, your scalp will tighten and ache. A wrong move will send a shockwave of misery through your whole body. And merely laying your head back on your beautiful leather office chair, the $1,000 ergonomic glory you made space for in the budget when first promoted to director, feels like sledgehammer and railway spike all in one. It is not vanity. But how can we explain this to them when they must protect themselves from the knowledge of what they are doing to us? Oh, little lottery winners of this random terror, you are so silly to care about your hair. Let me show empathy for your vanity, so I might ignore your physical pain. What the fuck was I just talking about? Oh, yes, they tell you it's not your fault. Then they tell you it is. Because in every post-care missive, you are told to watch your weight and alcohol. You are told to exercise. Keep the devil cancer away through healthy living and good cheer. Sugar, though, is fine. They will even give you cookies and colas as you sit in the beige pleather recliner with poison in your veins. Sugar lobbyists earn their keep. Or not, who am I to say? You are told how to keep it from coming back, though also that you did nothing to cause it. It is madness to figure their logic, even more so to enter the spiral of the internet. Each time a friend posts general cancer preventative tips, not thinking of me, just thinking to share the latest fitness craze, be it paleo, low-fat, CrossFit, or jazzercise. They have all beat cancer in their day. Avoid red meat, especially charred. Don't use fake sugar or parabens. Avoid soy and dairy. The list, it grows, and with each its own army of clickable articles and lists until your brain is a swirl of guilt and blame. Because if you can prevent it, doesn't that mean you caused it? No, poor dear, no, mustn't think that way, you broken invalid soul. Until you're better, of course, and then here is your list of things you must do, and if the cancer returns, we'll know. We'll know for sure you have been a naughty girl and brought it on yourself. On meeting my new oncologist 6 months out of chemo and impressed with my growing lashes and brows, the first thing she said to me was, "So, how'd you get cancer so young?" This thing that 6 months ago was random and could happen to anyone, though it was indeed happening to me, was now something she expected me to have a cause for, expected me to atone for my sins, both real and imagined. So I took a deep breath, or as deep as my not yet healed body would allow, and said, "It might have been that time I masturbated with a Shiva Lingam, or the C8 in the water up home, the radiation from the break room microwave, or staying up late playing Candy Crush with the tablet atop my abdomen. It might have been too much soy, or maybe not enough, or the cheap pheromone perfume from an MLM thing a friend was doing and I bathed in every day for a month or so. It may have been the milk I drank when I was just a girl, or hamburgers, cheese, veal butter, anything with hormones running wild. Is this why I started my period at 10, which used to be considered early, but isn't anymore? Since my mind is on being 10 right now, let's take a short side trip to the first time I met Hinbit Deadnettle. The first and only time, really. Hinbit came to Granny's for some gossiping and tea. I was outside doing something rowdy and grimy. Seeing the two old women, though they were not much older than I am now, I fear, sitting at the kitchen table, I wondered what it would be like to be so free and cackly in my laughter. I had just recently realized I laughed too loudly and been told by my mother I would never get a boyfriend unless I toned it down. And here was Hinbit, single and going off like a howler monkey at some story or other Granny was weaving, some memory. As if sensing my confusion and chagrin, Hinbit reached out for me, taking my hand and introducing herself, forcing me to come to terms with her not just as a vague presence in the room, but as all of her all, in all her selfness. And I felt a spark in her touch, and she felt it too. It ran from my right hand up my arm and around my body like a charge down a line of caps firing off. Was it turning on some bits of the goddess Aphroditemus, or was it putting something in that wasn't there before? I don't know. What I do know is it wasn't some full transfer draining that left her with nothing. Not like pouring cherry Kool-Aid from the pitcher to the glass, from the glass to your mouth. Each step leaving less and less. No, it was more like car batteries and jumper cables igniting a spark. Well, okay, not a spark. That's dangerous, but you're getting what I'm saying, right? The battery comes back to life, ready to ride the asphalt and the dance of metal it's been longing for. Did Hinbit know? Did she do it on purpose? Was it intent, destiny, or accident? Who knows? Who knows? And speaking of uncertainty, let's get back to my listing of all those things that may or may not have been trying to hasten my demise. It may have been getting a graduate degree. Isn't that what they used to tell women? That education made their ovaries shrivel? Perhaps they meant explode. It may have been using condoms, or maybe going without them. Too tight underpants or too loose of morals, or maybe just a gene somewhere, but I don't have $200 sitting around to find out. It may have been too much sugar or too much fake sugar. It may have been trying to do what everyone said, trying to please everyone, or a nearly impossible task. It may have been because my husband didn't want to sleep with me, or because other men did. It may have been my appetites for one thing or another. Skin creams with parabens or cake frosting with the same. Sitting in dirt or swimming in chlorine. 2 or 3 girls, now women, who were in marching band with me have recently had estrogen-dependent cancers, and one's already dead. Are these numbers normal, or did the stuff that turned our white knockoff Keds orange do more than cost us money? Was it the benzene in the air around Grisway Holler, or the sweet taste of our wells that summer that did it? Was it this? Was it that? My Lanta, this list can go on forever. Aren't you glad you asked? The doctor looked at me and said my numbers were good and showed herself the door. Now you, dear friend, or enemy, as the case may be, know the real reason. No, it's because I couldn't leave those shadowy bastards alone. Had to always be trying to save everybody else regardless of the cost. That's got to be it. Because there is a reason. There always has to be a reason. I see her every 3 months still for another year or so. Then 6 months, once a year, every 2 years, every 5. I'm tied to her, or someone like her, forever. It is not a comforting feeling, and it often asks me to do what a goddess must never do. Take a knife to her days. Focus on my body with laser precision and worry. Is that heaviness the cancer coming back, or just too much bread and meat? A radish too far? Are my memories scattered from the chemo, or is that the cancer coming back? Am I tired from being up too late playing Candy Crush again and looking up Susie Fuller playthrough videos on YouTube because level 3199 is kicking my ass? Or is that the cancer coming back? Report it all so they can ignore it all and shrug their shoulders prettily. But they are lovely people. Just don't know what to do with a goddess like me. No one ever does. And that is the end of the chapter. I do hope someday that someone will pick up A Pleasant Loitering Journey. I've thought often about changing some pivotal aspects of it. As you can tell, she talks directly to the audience. It's very stream of conscious often. She swears. She talks about bodily functions. She's got some sections. Talks a lot about bodily functions. And I just have a good time with footnotes. There's a lot of good time with footnotes where there's a footnote that goes on for 3 pages or something. And I've thought about making it a more conventionally structured novel. It would probably have an easier time finding a home that way. I just don't want to do it. I like it how it is. It cracks me up, right? I get a kick out of it. It cracks me up. And there's something to be said for you need to change yourself to match the marketplace. I understand that, and I honor that instinct in myself and in others when that happens. I just think that with this project, that this is not that project that I'll be doing that with. Which is not to say I'm not above editing it and stuff, right? A good editor can really shape and make something wonderful. But I had one rejection from a press. This is sort of a spoiler-esque. But one of the first lines is about I was not yet a murderer. And the response I got back from the press was that one of the reasons they were rejecting it is they felt the beginning was too much information, and they wanted to be surprised when she became a murderer. And I thought, tell me you haven't read the whole book without telling me you haven't read the whole book. I'm not going to tell you why that is true, but I was like, okay, yeah, you didn't read this. But they've got a lot going on, right? And so maybe that William Wordsworthy sort of tone was ugh. And they, read a page of it and went, oh no, this is going to suck. I don't think it sucks. I think it's a popcorn fart in a skillet is what I think it is. It's a good time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for stopping by today and listening to me read that chapter. Like I said, I will put a link down in the description below so that if you want to go check out Shenandoah or the other novel excerpts, every issue of Shenandoah has 1 or 2 novel excerpts. it's a fabulous way to find some great new stuff. So I hope you will take advantage of that. Thanks for stopping by.